I never imagined I would find myself in this kind of situation, but let me tell you, it all started when I was just 18 years old. My name is Alex, and I was trying to make the best out of my part-time job at a fast food joint. It was meant to be an easy gig, a chance to rack up some cash before heading to college and maybe enjoy some time with friends. Things were generally fine until this girl came onto the scene, and to put it simply, she changed everything. Her name was Karen. We both started working at the same time, but the difference was that I was eager to learn and grow while she was all about drama and childish antics. One moment I was doing okay, just trying to navigate my teenage life, and the next I was caught in a whirlwind I never saw coming. Karen was young, sure, but she had a knack for getting under people's skin, and she seemed to relish every moment of it. I could not stand to see her behavior, constantly boasting about her escapades for everyone to hear, indulging in her responsibilities as if she were above it all. While I was trying to pursue my promotions, she was getting what she wanted purely because of her charm, or so it seemed. Fast forward a few months, I began dating a girl named Gina, who also worked there. She was sweet, funny, and clever, but our age difference seemed to raise eyebrows with the management. Meanwhile, Karen had recently turned 18, and suddenly she was being promoted to person in charge. As far as I was concerned, this made no sense. How could they possibly think Karen was management material? To me, it seemed more than a little ridiculous. I swear, if you stood outside the store, you could hear her loud laugh ringing through the air as she would go on and on about her so-called life experiences, which mostly included discussing her latest romantic trysts with whoever would listen. Her relationship with the new general manager was another sore point for me. This guy was just over 21, and while he was decent at his job, he took a particular liking to Karen. They began spending time together outside of work, and I felt a little nauseous every time I thought about them meeting up late at night when he was supposed to be single. I remember the countless conversations Gina and I had, bewildered by how unfair things seemed at our workplace, where hard work was overlooked. Just after Karen's promotion, her friend Heather started working with us and soon got promoted too. I saw that this was purely because of her new friendship with Karen, and it felt like the world was laughing at me. To make matters worse, Karen spread fake sentiments about Gina, telling everyone that she was immature for dating an older guy. That made my skin crawl and stirred up a whirlwind of anger within me. Each day at work became a struggle, as I began to notice the unhealthy competition and the favoritism at play. My frustration grew as I dreamed of fair treatments and promotions, thoughts occupied by how the management was making a mockery out of competence and experience. One day, the higher-ups decided they needed to promote someone to assistant manager, and naturally, the name that was thrown around was Karen again. But time and time again, she would prove that she lacked the ability for such a role. Her performance had been below par, and instead of admitting defeat, the general manager decided to retrain her instead of promoting someone new. I felt the tension building inside me, and I was moving closer to the edge. It was the kind of situation where I considered just quitting because I did not believe I could work under her. But in a twisted way, fate brought an unexpected truth to the surface. One day, while Gina and I were sitting at the table after our shift, I jokingly suggested that we should record her vaping in the back where no one could see. Sure, I knew it was wrong and not generally my style to rat anyone out, but I was feeling bold and annoyed with the farce of a management system. To my surprise, the joke materialized into action when we managed to catch her in 4K right behind the store. The moment we got that footage, something shifted within me. It was no longer just a matter of annoyance. It felt like a spark ignited, and I decided to take it a step further. I crafted a message to the regional manager, outlining my frustrations about the managerial bias and expressing my grievances. I sent the video, explained the entire scenario, and shared how it felt unfair for me to be overlooked for promotions, especially when that overlapped with Karen's carefree attitude towards her job. It might have seemed extreme, and maybe in hindsight I became the kind of person I normally disliked, but I was done with feeling powerless. To my shock, the regional manager replied, acknowledging my message and giving me a sense of relief. She hearted it, and I felt a rush of adrenaline realizing she might actually do something about it. Days passed, and I started to forget about the situation. I wondered if I had crossed a line I could not return from, but then it happened. One morning, I walked into work to a subdued atmosphere. I saw Karen pacing in the break room, her face ashen, and I knew something was off. The news came soon after. She was fired. The rush of euphoria that flooded through me was beyond anything I could have predicted. Yes, I felt guilt, and yes, I had manipulated a situation to settle a score, but that moment felt liberating. That cycle of seeing someone thrive while I was stuck rotting away vanished, and all that remained was an odd satisfaction. Karen had always suspected I was involved somehow. She would stare daggers at me whenever I walked by. It was almost amusing getting to watch her struggle in the days that followed. She took a job at the local Walmart, and I saw her actually doing mundane errands while I thrived. I savored every moment of her misery as I went on. I was free while she collapsed under the weight of her own choices, and it was more satisfying than I could have imagined. I began to appreciate what it meant to stand up for myself. It was a hard lesson, but finally, things started shifting in my favor. For the first time in a long time, I walked around feeling lighter and filled with hope for my future. It was a reminder to take control. But just as I started feeling good about things and my confidence rose, I wondered if I would ever look back on my decision. How long would this moment create ripples in my life? There would always be a part of me that questioned if I had done the right thing. Today, I stand here, moved on and ready for new chapters. It was time to let go of the burdens of the past and embrace what lay ahead. If I learned anything from this experience, it is that sometimes, instead of trying to be the bigger person, it is essential to recognize when to stand for yourself, even if it means taking a bold, dramatic step. Maybe the games and the petty rivalries were never truly over, but they sure had opened my eyes to what resilience really looked like. I am taking my experiences and using them as fuel, keenly aware that the next challenge might be waiting for me right around the corner. What about you? Have you ever felt this kind of frustration overwhelm you in your job? I want to hear your stories. Come, share, and let's talk. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more incredible tales like this.